can hear you. How are you?
Hello.
Good to see you
Good.
again. How are you? Doing well?
Good. Thank you. I see from your shirt you caught one of the shows so far.
I caught two. We talked in Berlin, and I was at the show in Berlin and then Lisbon.
Perfect. Perfect.
It was amazing, amazing shows. And we can start with that. European tour and South American tour. How was the tour for you guys? I know for you it was a bit difficult because, you had some personal issues. You had a death in the family. You had your dog as well that passed away. But, taking that to the side, how was the tour for you guys?
Right. Are you recording, by the way? Normally it says a notification. I just want
Ye-
to
Yeah, it's recording.
make sure you're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned, I had some personal yeah, things that were just really, really heartbreaking to deal with while away on tour. But those things aside, the shows themselves were all absolutely incredible. I mean, it's by far the biggest, most successful tour Dream Theater has ever done, and the emotions each and every night were just overwhelming.
Yeah.
And and like I mentioned to you in Berlin, probably, we get to continue to experience those emotions, like, you know, all for the rest of the tour. Anytime we're going to any place for the first time,
Yeah.
it's going to feel like that. So it's very exciting to be able to continue to do that through the year. But yeah, it's been incredible, really incredible.
Did it surprise you? Because like in Lisbon, it was like a full house arena show for the first time for you guys. You played the Bull Ring before a few times, but it was the biggest Dream Theater show in Lisbon, and it was like that in all of Europe and South America. Did it surprise, this acceptance from Dream Theater after 40 years?
You know, I wish I could say it surprised us, but to be honest, we know how passionate Dream Theater fans are. Um, they're the greatest fans in the world. Sometimes some of the most demanding fans in the world as well, which is impossible to please them all. But we knew that there would be tremendous excitement, and 13 years or 15 years, whatever the numbers worked out to be, is a long time to have not played live together. And as I probably already mentioned to you, there was a lot of old fans in the audience that hadn't seen this lineup together in all those years and were so excited. But then at the same time, there's a whole new generation of young fans that never got to see this lineup. So we knew there would be a lot of anticipation. I know the numbers have made promoters and the booking agents and management and all that. The numbers make them all very happy, but to
Yeah.
me, I'm more about the vibe,
Yeah.
and the vibes have been incredible.
Yeah. And let's jump into Parasomnia. And I've been listening to the album for the last couple of days. And I cannot say I'm surprised, but I'm very pleasantly surprised
Oh,
with how
good,
good the record is. And,
great, thank you.
you know, I I had high expectations, very high expectations, and it surpassed after listening to the record.
Wow, that's amazing. That's great to
And
hear.
And one of the things that, I might be dreaming, I don't know, maybe it's because of the theme of the album, but I sense that throughout some of the songs, there was a common theme melody that would bring me back to another song on the album. And all of the sudden, I had like, it seems like I've listened to this, but then it jumped to another section and it took me on a journey. And that was the most amazing thing about this record is it didn't feel like whatever the length of the
Mhm.
time it is. After finishing the record, I was like, already,
Ah,
time has passed.
the alarm clock went off, and it woke you up, and the dream was over.
Yeah. But is there like a theme melody throughout the
There's
song?
many of them. The more you get to know the album, the more you'll start to recognize and pick them out. But one of the first things that I suggested when we started working on it was, the idea of making it a concept album thematically, not a concept album in terms of a
Yep.
story with characters, but more of a theme, like a thematic concept album, like Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, or even like what we did with the second disc of 6 Degrees, something where they all connect. And one of the main things with doing an album like that is having musical passages that reoccur.
Yeah.
They get foreshadowed at one point, or they get reprised at another point, and you could bring the themes in and out, different keys, different tempos, different instruments. And whenever you make a concept album, that's one of the tools of making a good concept album. And I've made many of them, not only with Dream Theater, but if you look at like the Neil Morse Band, we did The Similitude and The Great Adventure. And any Transatlantic has done it as well with The
Yeah.
Whirlwind and Absolute Universe. So anytime you're making a record like that, a concept album, to me, that's the most fun part of it, is having the musical passages that interweave and come in and out. And really, if you think about it, Dream Theater's been doing that since the early days. If you look at Images and Words, like Wait for Sleep took a motif from Learning to Live
Yeah.
and foreshadowed it. Or on Awake, The Mirror has a theme from Space Divest in it. So it's something that we've been toying with for over 30 years now, and it's just a fun way of writing.
Yeah, and it's a fun way to like, because when we returned to the band and I was preparing to the tour, I decided to listen to the old records because I haven't listened to them in a while, and it was amazing, seeing those little details that I didn't pay that much attention back then, but after so many years and knowing and watching so many interviews, you kind of okay, it's there. It makes sense.
Right.
It was was a great experience on this record. In the Arms of Morpheus, the first track instrumental, uh, heavy guitar riff there in the beginning, almost Gent Meshuggah like something.
Mm.
I was so surprised that you guys went to get something like that for the. I was like, this is heavy as hell.
Right. Well, that's the eight string. As soon as John strapped on that eight-string guitar, we started writing the overture, and it just came out. But yeah, funny, interesting enough, and this often happens. I just named a whole bunch of concept albums I've been involved with, and this is almost always the case where the overture is the last thing written,
Mhm.
because a lot of times what you want to do in an overture is kind of foreshadow things to come later. So, In the Arms of Morpheus was actually the last song written for the album, because we wanted to write everything first, put it all together, and then pick and choose the moments we wanted to work into the overture.
Yeah, it makes sense now that you explain those vibes that I had. It's amazing work. And Midnight Messiah, classic heavy metal song. I mean, it's. I remember we talked in Berlin, and you said because Night Terror was the first single, then The Broken Man would be the second. You said there was a really heavy metal song on the album that you enjoyed, and but was not going to be a single. And now I listening to it, it's Midnight Messiah. I think that you were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Such a great song. Who came up with the idea for it?
Well, I mean, musically, everything is done together on the spot. Nobody had like finished pieces or songs. So everything that you hear, all the music was done spontaneously together with a clean slate. So I can't remember who came in
Yeah,
with what riff, whatever. I don't remember that. But it was the Midnight Messiah was the third song we wrote musically. And we knew we wanted something very heavy, very energetic. And, as soon as we wrote it, we knew it was a metal single, something that like would have crossover potential for the metal audience, metal mainstream. But we knew it had to be a single, but we didn't want that to be the first thing that people
yeah,
heard, because it's all in almost all in 4/4. It's a little more straight ahead, the same way that like maybe As I Am or Pull Me Under is in a respect. So we knew it had to be a single, but it couldn't be the first one. So here it is, number 3, and we'll have a music video that's coming out with it as well, and it works out good because it will set up the North American tour that we're about to begin, and then the album comes out right afterwards.
Yeah, Dead Asleep is another favorite. I mean, all the songs are my favorite on this album, but Dead Asleep is another one that really surprised me. Again, another heavy riff, but great melodies. And another thing on this record, James' vocal melodies are spot on. I mean, he does an amazing job with
Yeah.
the vocal melodies on this record, like Bend the Clock. It's, you know, it freaking melts my heart listening to
Yeah.
it.
Well, James was he was there every step of the way with us. Even when we were working on just the music, which is always the first phase, he was on the screen via Zoom with us the entire time, every day from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. He was on the screen with us, working with us, and listening from his studio back in Toronto. So yeah, he was very involved. And then once all the music was assembled and arranged, he came to New York, and we all sat down together and went through every song and constructed the vocal melodies together. So we would go through every song and just kind of just do the hum melodies with scratch lyrics, la di da 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 da. No words, just
Yeah,
melodies, and we would lay them down, and then whoever would write the lyrics would write the lyrics to those melodies. So we spent a lot of time, and it was all collaborated on, in that respect, and I think it shows for it. I think most of the songs have really strong choruses and
yeah,
hooks. And I think that's such an important thing to have, especially with music like this that can get crazy at times.
yeah. One of the things listening to this record, this is another album, I mean, that you can play from start to finish, and nobody will complain about at the end of the night if you play.
Well, yeah, they were Dream Theater fans will definitely they find a way to complain about anything. But yeah, I know what you're saying. But it was absolutely written to be played from top to bottom, from start to finish, and it's meant to be listened to that way. And eventually, we hope to perform it that way live as well.
Yeah, the Shadow Man incident, it's the epic of the album. And at 155 minutes, the guitar and drum part reminds me of Metropolis.
Yeah,
Link me to the.
it's funny because at one point that marching snare drum thing, it's like a Star Wars kind of section, and that marching snare drum at one point started and we did that just as a like a wink wink. There's moments like that all
Yeah,
throughout the album where there's like little nuggets
yeah,
that were planted, but we ended up taking that out of Shadow Man Incident just because we didn't want people to misinterpret it as somehow related to Metropolis, like part three.
yeah,
So we ended up changing it because we didn't want people to misunderstand the thinking that there was a connection when there wasn't. But
yeah,
yeah, there were a lot of moments like that all throughout the album where it you could feel something similar to something from the past. And in a lot of cases, rather than fighting it, we embraced it.
yeah.
We said, you know what? This is who we are. We are the people that wrote those songs. We're the people writing these songs. And we felt like we wanted to be able to have that freedom to embrace the past.
Yeah. One of the things from me listening to this album, you guys seem to have fun doing it because it shows on the songs, it shows on the melodies, the construction, the flow of the record. It's a work of a band that is enjoying themselves doing it.
I mean, of course it was fun, especially because we were back together again for the first time. But I think more so than fun, it was just inspired. I think we were very inspired by being back together again, and it brought to the sessions an energy and an excitement. Maybe I mentioned this to you when we spoke last. I don't know if I mentioned it, but I've mentioned this in other interviews. It felt very similar to like the making of Images and Words or the making of Scenes from a Memory, because in those cases it was a lineup change, and
Yeah.
and I think in those cases we were very inspired by the energy of a lineup change, and I think the same could be said for the energy during this session.
Yeah, as I said, it's a fantastic record, and I think fans are going to be I know they are demanding. I know. I know nobody will be very, there's nobody that will be 100% satisfied. But
Right.
I can tell you personally, I'm 99.9% satisfied with this record because, you know, there was a lot of responsibility with you coming back. And I
That's
mean,
great to hear. I
it's a
mean,
it's a
we
freaking
agree.
good.
I mean, we feel like it's the album that every Dream Theater fan has been waiting for and would expect from us being back together. We think that, and we hope that fans feel that way. So to hear you say that really means a lot. Thank you.
Yeah. And you guys are doing the North American tour soon, and you're doing some festivals back in Europe in the summer. Um, you do the playlist, obviously the set list for for the tour. Are you already thinking festival wise, what are you guys going to play? Do you have any
Yeah.
idea what you want to do?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely been thinking about it, especially because we've been playing a static set list so far
Yeah.
the entire tour. And to be honest, we will continue that for the North American tour because we still want the North American fans to be able to witness and experience the 40th anniversary set list.
Yeah.
So that's still the focus, but this whole world tour is going to go through a couple of phases. And that's the first phase. But come summertime, we'll start to entering the transitional phase. And those set lists in the summer will be a combination of different things because there's some festivals, in which case the set list will be catered to a more general audience. But then there's also some markets that we're going to be playing that didn't get to see the shows in October and November. A lot of Eastern European audiences like Romania and Bulgaria and Greece and Turkey. So we'll still be doing the 40th anniversary set list for those markets, but then there'll be a lot of repeated areas like Germany and Italy that we're coming back to now, and they'll get the more transitional set list with new songs mixed in, a lot of alternate songs mixed in. Uh, but doing Parasomnia from start to finish is something that probably won't happen until after the summer.
Yeah.
And then we plan on coming back through certain markets doing the entire Parasomnia album because it was meant to be performed that way. That's the way we wrote it, and in hopes of eventually doing that. So that'll be towards the end of 2025 when we finally get to that phase.
Cool. And when you talk in Berlin, you mentioned the 12-step suite, that it's something that you haven't played with Dream Theater. A lot of fans ask if you guys are going to do that one day from start to finish. It's something that 2, 3, 4, 5 years time, you think it's feasible to happen live?
It has to happen. I mean, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's unfinished business until Dream Theater performs
Yeah.
it. Obviously, I had a chance to do it with the Shattered Fortress tour, but no, the dream has always been for these five people to play that from start to finish. So until we do, it's going to always remain on my bucket list, and hopefully at some point that will happen.
And that one song that you still haven't played with Dream Theater, or that Dream Theater hasn't played live, you have to do it as
Same answer. Yep.
well. Very good. Have you listened? Do you, after you finish recording the album, do you listen to it? Have you listened to it? How do you approach that? Because I know a lot of artists, a lot of bands, when they finish an album, they don't like to listen to it. They give a
Right.
few months so they can rest over it. What is your approach when it comes to
Uh,
an
to
album?
to be honest, I rarely go back and listen to an album unless I have to like learn something for a tour. Because the making of a record is such a detailed process that you spend so much time. I mean, we spent so much time going over every single detail in this music, from the music to the melodies to the lyrics to the production to the instrumentation. By the time we actually finish the record and deliver it to the label, we've been through it thousands of times. So I rarely go back and listen at that point. I'm just sick of it. And in this particular case, it's been such a long time. Oh my God. Like we started this album, believe it or not, we moved into the studio February 7th, 2024, and it's coming out a year to the day since we moved in. It's coming out February 7th, 2025. So that's 1 year from start to finish. At this point, it feels like we made this album 10 years ago to me, but yet the world has still yet to hear it.
Yeah.
I can't wait. But yeah, my drum tracks for a lot of these tracks were done back in March. So yeah, it's I feel very removed from it at this point, which will probably make for a great listen when I do
Yeah.
revisit it, you know. So I look forward to sitting down and enjoying it again. It's been a little while for me.
Yeah. Just one last question to wrap it up and to let you go. You have more interviews to do. Have you listened to the Dolby Atmos mix of the album?
I have not actually. I haven't heard it yet. John Petrucci went and oversaw it when it was getting done, but I have yet to enjoy it. Have you?
No, I haven't. I just have the regular stereo. I
Yeah,
ordered the box set, so I'll get the Blu-ray with whatever Dolby Atmos mix that he has. So
yeah.
I'll
I look
listen to
forward
it
to
when
it.
it comes out. I'm very looking forward to hear how we can sound, in the Atmos format. So I'm
Yeah,
excited for that as well. So.
yeah, me too.
Right, Mike, thank you very much for your time. All the best for the North American tour.
Thank
Hopefully,
you, man.
when you guys come back to Europe for the, Parasomnia proper tour, you guys can come back again to Portugal. We love you. We want to see you guys again.
I got to tell you, and I'm not just saying this to kiss your ass, but the Lisbon show was one of my favorite audiences on the whole tour. It was incredible. What an amazing audience that night. I really, really felt the energy and the love and the passion. And yeah, I can't wait to come back.
Yeah, it was a great, great night, great performance from you guys, and really excited for the album to come out, for the world to listen, and to see you guys again live. Mike, thank you very much for your time. All the best, and see you soon. All right, thank you so
Thank you, man.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Appreciate it. Bye
Bye.
bye.